So I am talking about the Mobility Independent Foundation's web portal project. I wanted to explain a little bit about who we are. I am the Mobility Independent Foundation's outreach director. We are a nonprofit. We focus on developing and fabricating open source mobility technology. And then in addition to that, we have the general goal of making information and resources about this technology easier to access. And as part of that initiative, we are developing a web portal. I wanted to give an overview of the problem because as a wheelchair user, this is kind of my everyday, but I try to remember that there is a scope that I am involved in that other people do not see. So the big problem is that the durable medical equipment industry is focused on profits instead of people. Equipment is not built to last because they make money when they make you replace it, and they make money when they make you get repairs. They also have no guarantee on timelines for repairs. They can take months to years, during which you are often left without your needed equipment. I think they said that there's a statistic that an average wheelchair user's equipment breaks down once every 6 months. And then information about doing these repairs yourself or getting the parts yourself is either impossible because of proprietary knowledge restriction or is extremely expensive. So to fix this problem, we made a web portal. It will include a forum to discuss this kind of technical information. It will include an inventory system for organizations that loan out equipment or have stores or stock of equipment so people can exchange it. Because one of the big problems we have with disability resources is that they're often hyper-localized and segmented. So people might not know that their local resources exist, or the information that one resource has could be useful to someone across the country, but they have no way of knowing because it's not in their purview. And then to help with this, we are also going to have a directory of organizations, volunteers, disabled-owned businesses that are willing to help fabricate this equipment, that are willing to loan people equipment, and that are willing to help develop things. Just anyone that's really, really connected to this open source mobility movement. And then this is where the DWeb comes in. We are going to have a repository of our open hardware designs. The main reason this should be decentralized is that our work involves undercutting incredibly lucrative and exploitative practices that exist in an industry that makes a lot of people money. By making our designs open hardware, easy to repair, better than our competitors, people will have more effective equipment that doesn't have month-long breakdowns, which threatens the established industry, so there is risk of people trying to silence us. In order to prevent this silencing, we are going to be hosting our repository of designs on our web portal using IPFS. In addition to having the gateways embedded in our website, we will have a GitHub with downloadable package, including CIDs and essential information for building these devices, so that people in countries that limit web access can still see our designs, even if our specific URL is blocked. A sample of things that will be on our repository includes designs for Endurance, which is our open source power chair that we've been working on for a number of years, design for Arizona State University's open source children's power chair, which we have a couple models of, designs for the upcoming open source manual wheelchair being developed by Northeastern engineering students. And all of these designs will include white papers, instruction manuals, schematics, and any other information you might need to build it. So through this class, I've learned that the decentralized web shares a lot of priorities with what we're trying to solve, because a lot of the problem with the DME industry is that it is centralized. There are two giant national vendors that make up most of the options in the US, and they are owned by private equity companies. Those vendors sell products from 4 to 5 giant brands that are also owned by private equity companies. So it makes sense to use decentralized storage for our project, and we are really aligned with the mission of the decentralized web. And throughout this course, we've talked a lot about cultural memory, and my coworker Matt and I have been taking this class as part of the Cultural Memory Lab program. And I really do think that this information about mobility technology, especially when you start talking into like hacking things or getting open source of any kind, is a kind of cultural memory. Because like when you're talking local communities, like, oh, you know someone on your adaptive sports team and they'll help you change a tire, or this person knows this trick that if you put this brake this way, you can fit it on this chair. And you have this hyper local cultural memory that allows communities to continue thriving despite the lack of resources we're being given. But it doesn't get any wider than hyper local, which means that people end up repeating information and you just end up with skills that could be shared more widely that only a couple people know about. So we're going to use our portal to share these cultural memories and knowledge more widely so that everybody has more access to resources, and it's not just people who are in cities that have disability communities. We want people who are rural. We want people who are in countries that don't have resources at all to be able to take control of their own mobility and feel empowered to run their own lives. And the next steps, we're going to keep developing our web portal with a hopeful launch for the fall. We will keep working with universities and our own team on equipment designs, and then we're going to pursue grants for our portal and future projects. And that's it. Thank you.